Never ever hold her, never mind. Oh,
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sammie's Pressure King Recipe Channel. So today we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. On the group, as a lot of you might have noticed, sorry, just move that camera back. There's a lot of questions floating around, and there's quite a lot of common questions that a lot of people are asking and want answers to. So today's video is going to be a FAQ, which stands for Frequently Asked Questions. So I'm just going to go over a few different questions that have been asked in the group this morning. I'm going to be demonstrating with my machine for a few different questions, and hopefully we can get the answers to some of your questions for you. So this video might not be all about how I go, oh, I'll be back in a minute. It might just be literally a straightforward video, no cutouts and things, but there might just be a few just to bring you down to the machine and see how different things work. So I'm actually running off my camera on my phone, and you're sliding down everywhere. So I'm running off my phone camera, and I've got my MacBook on the side. So I'm going to go from here. So one of our first questions that we had, we did a post in the group this morning. So the post was from Sinead Hines, and she asked, if cooking from frozen, how much extra time do you need to add? And thank you to my moderator Kev for answering her question. So as Kev said, in most cases no extra time is needed. It will just take a little longer time to get to pressure. Let's say you're doing I don't know, frozen normal chicken breast. So let's say you do normal chicken breast. You can do them in the PKP for about ranging between 9 to 10 minutes, but frozen, you'll put them in for about 13 minutes. It just depends, and this is one of the ways that we adapt recipes, by judging based on things that we've already cooked and we incorporate them into a new recipe. So that is your answer, Sinead. Okay, see what else we've got. Christine Harris asked, how do you do natural pressure release? I know myself, but I see a few people ask. Well, that's a really good question, Christine, because a lot of people do ask this question. So with your machine, you have your valve, and I'll bring you over here in a minute just to show you. So I'm just going to shut my machine. Now, there is nothing but water in my machine today, just in case we've got to switch it on for anything. So don't worry about that. So I'll just bring you over here and show you my valve. Okay, so this is what is known as the pressure valve. So when your food is about to go to pressure, what you have to do, you have to make sure that this, so if I can, I don't know if we can do it from under here, but no, that's not going to work. So, right, what we're going to do is just turn it this way. So, excuse the few little marks on it. So, when the machine needs to go to pressure, you'll have a small circle on the top. I don't know if this will focus. Let me put a light on a minute. There we are. Excuse all the fingerprints now. But you see that little circle there? That has to line up with that little arrow. A lot of people drop a little bit of nail varnish remover on just to see those a bit better. So that has to line up with that to make sure it's closed. Now the way that I do it is, I don't know if you can see, but when my valve is open, it sits up. When my valve is closed, it sits down. If you see that, so that's up for open, down for closed. And all when that circle's pointing at that arrow means it's locked. Well, it's set to closed, sorry. So the difference between natural release and manual release, or fast release. So when the pressure is finished in the machine for fast release, we simply don't do it with your bare fingers, because this obviously will be piping hot and you'll get a lot of steam. Make sure you protect yourself. I use tongs normally. But what we do is we just flip that up, and the pressure then will come billowing out. Or what you could do is just literally flick it to that and stand back, and the pressure will rise. And that's how you do a fast release. Now with natural release, Christine, you open your you cook your food in your machine, and then what you do is you leave your machine, so you don't touch the valve, you don't touch anything at all. I'll just turn you back around now to finish off this question. So yes, you don't touch your machine at all. You leave it exactly the way it is, and it probably takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the natural pressure to finish. So what happens is the steam escapes just naturally on its own without the need of opening any valves or anything like that. And then after about 15 minutes, you'll hear your machine do that little noise where it indicates that the lid is now open, and then you can carry on. And and you can serve up your food and stuff that way. So that is the answer to your question. I will do a video on demonstration in a separate video on how to do natural release, how to do normal release, just so you all know the difference. But I'll get that video up at the end of this evening, just as a little reminder for those who need a bit of help. So thank you for your question, Christine. I know it was to help other members, but thank you very much, because it is quite a common question that we do have. Just looking now, what else we have. Okay, so a good question from Rosina McKinley is, what does the 6 litre do that the 5 litre doesn't? Well, Rosina, thank you for your question. So I have the 6 litre model. I also did have the 5 litre, that I had to go back. And I do have a 3 litre as well. Now, the difference is with the 5 litre is that's a 12 in 1 and this is a 20 in 1. So I'm going to turn on my machine and I'm just going to read to you some of the things that this does. Now, I know with the 5 litre you have things on here such as how you can do cake, you can do yoghurt, you can do pizza, you can do jam, cereals as well, and crispy. So there's different varieties on here. Now, I've seen a few questions about people asking, oh, what are the temperatures and stuff like that to do in the 5 litre for cakes and things. Now, I don't know if you can do that. Now, presumably, and don't quote me, please don't hold me responsible if this is wrong, but I'd have thought if you looked at the temperature of what the 6 litre is for cake, and then have a look at, see if you can set that on your 5 litre machine, you may be able to do a cake. Now, I don't know that, but I think we'll get one of the admins to test it and see how that goes, just to see if it does work. So the 6 litre model, it's a bigger capacity than your 5 litre. You get an extra litre. So for those of you that have got smaller families and you like to batch cook and things like that, perfect. If you have a large family, one of these pots, fantastic, brilliant. It will feed all of you. And I mean, there's only 2 of us here, and literally we have the 6 litre and a 3 litre. We use the 3 litre for other reasons, but the 6 litre is our main go-to machine. So on this machine, I'll read out what we have. So we have pressure cook, we have slow cook, multi-cook, and then we have steam, fry, and then on the main screen we have cereals, pasta, rice, crispy, pizza, egg, yoghurt, jam, meat, fish, stew/soup, which should be your browning function now, guys, veg, bake, and cake. So there's a variety of different things, but I will say keep your eyes peeled throughout this channel, because we are going to be putting up different recipes, and we're going to be trial and testing things that even I've never done. I've never done this before, sorry, turning my machine on. So even things I've never done, I'm going to go through first hand, and I think we've got a lemon cheesecake coming up soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So yeah, so that is the best answer I can give you. I don't want to tell you, oh, it does, you know, it cooks a whole dinner in there in like 2 minutes, because it doesn't, but there's a bigger capacity. There are a lot more different functions that you may use, you may not use. I don't use a lot of those functions, but I want to put my machine to the full test and try the different settings that are on there. So that is my best answer and my honest answer for you, Rosina. I think it's Rosina. Rosina McKinley, yeah. Okay, so next question. Let's see where we are. Okay, so Fiona Wilson left us a message and said, what trivets can I use? Now, if you just bear with me a sec, I'm just going to get the information for this. Okay, so one of the most recommended trivets that I've seen in the group, and this has come from other members, so it's not my personal opinion, is the Joseph Lotus Steamer Plus. Now, that is a green steaming basket, and it folds up to nothing, and then you stick it in your machine and it opens out. And basically with that, what it does, it just sits in the top. It replaces your white trivet, so it'll sit in the top and it'll open out, and it has holes in, so it's like a little colander kind of thing. And then it has like a, I don't have one to hand see because mine's on order. It has like a a long green handle in the middle that you can just lift out and put onto the side. So it is really, really, really good for using in the 6 litre. And the good thing about it is it adjusts in different sizes. So you can go to your 5 litre machine and fit it in there perfectly. And you can also put it into your 3 litre machine too. Now, I'll put a link to the Amazon link in the bottom should you wish to buy one. And also, if you do wish to come over to our recipe group, which is Sammie's Pressure King recipe group on Facebook, if you have a look in our files section, you'll see an accessories section, and it is an entire section dedicated just to the accessories that people have recommended, tried and tested for the PKP. Now, just as a footnote to this one, I am just going to go down to one of these comments because I saw somebody say about what kind of things could they use in their machine. Let me just see. Yeah, so Rose Anderson, one of my other fantastic admins, said, can I use metal accessories in the inner non-stick pot? Now, whilst of course you can use lots of different metal objects inside, metal accessories inside of your PKP. However, it is not recommended because the pot itself will scratch, and I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to show you my pot after using metal accessories. Just one second. So as you can see, this is first hand how metal accessories, I've used this metal spoon inside the PKP. So, I'll brown off my mince or whatever, and I use this spoon, and this has been caused just from doing this. Now, if you don't want your machine to look like that, then I wouldn't recommend using metal accessories. Just flip you back around now. So, it's down to the person really. I mean, I can't stand the feel of wooden spoons. I know there's silicone ones and stuff, but I love my metal spoon. So that is down to me. It's my fault, totally, because I've used a metal spoon inside, and I imagine if you use things like the Trivets and the steaming baskets, if you put metal ones inside, it is going to damage and scratch your inside of your inner pot. So it is at your own risk, but I personally would not recommend it. So that is the answer as well to Rose. So just going back up to the questions now. See what else we have. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, so I think, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, I think it's Gail McKay. So Gail's question was, how and when would you use the accessories available in the Trivet? How to do pot in pot? I would find this very informative as I am new to using these machines, and I read all the time, example, use pot in pot. But I'm not sure if it goes on the bottom, sits on something, put water in it, or just around the outside. Do you have it higher up, sitting on something? Can it be higher than the maximum fill level? So many questions about the accessory list plus more. Thanks, Sammy. Okay, so Gail, you can do pot in pot cooking. A lot of people use that method on the group. So if you want any more information after I've explained, please go to the group, and just if you go up to the top bar where it says Sammie's Pressure King recipe group, if you click that bar and just type in pot in pot, all relevant posts that have ever been posted on the group will pop up there for you. So pot in pot can be done in here. Now there's different methods that you can use. Now if you look at the chicken curry recipe that I did the other day, I tried to do rice. It was disastrous. We tried to do it. I didn't realise that it was brown rice, and the brown rice needed to take a hell of a lot longer than what white rice takes. So that went to pot. So, see the irony there, pot in pot. Sorry. So inside my inner pot, what I did was I popped the water up to the minimum line, and then I put my trivet on the top, and then I put my little red bowl, a ceramic bowl, on the top, with rice in and water inside of the rice, well, in the thingy, and it didn't work. Now I know that I've seen plenty of people, I think if I'm right it was egg muffins or quiche muffins or some of those sorts, and people just silicone cases, pop them in the top. I've seen people put just silicone trays in with an egg. I've put people sit and put silicone trays inside of the PKP with beans, and other people have done mushrooms. They've actually created a full English breakfast just in the bottom of the PKP, which is absolutely amazing, and we will be covering that very, very soon. So yeah, you can do pot in pot. Sometimes liquid is required inside the pot. Sometimes liquid isn't required inside of the inner pot, inside the pot in pot. This pot is going to get confusing, but yeah, it varies. So what you could do is you could put it into the bottom of the pot, inside the bottom of your inner pot, and pop your contents inside that pot that you put in there. Or you could put your trivet on top of your machine and then pop your inner pot, pop your pot in pot inside your inner pot. Oh, hey, we're getting there. It just varies on which method you'd like to try, and I suppose as well it depends on the recipe that you are following. If you are unsure of anything like that, please do post in the group, because we have a ton of members that have done pot in pot cooking, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you. What part was your other question? How and when would you use the accessories? So measuring, I imagine your little measuring cup, and I can't see mine to hand at the minute, so I can't even show you. Oh, yeah, one sec. You get this cup with your PKP. So I would recommend using that for measuring. So that's one way of incorporating the bits that come with your machine into your cooking. You can also go out and get like a key ring that has got all different sizes of measuring spoons on for different measurements. That's another thing that's great, and the link to that as well will be in the comments. But yeah, that's the most I can give you anyway, because I've only ever tried and failed at pot in pot cooking. So I will be honest, and I'm not going to lie. So that is how much I can give you. But if other members can answer that question for you, they will pop it in the comments below. So I'll be back in a second. I just need to go for a wee. Back in a minute. Okay, so next question is from Fiona Wilson, and it says, how do you cook two things at once, i.e. chicken and vegetables / potatoes? Now, Fiona, where have you been? If you click below on the link, you will see a video to the chicken and vegetables, the chicken and potatoes that I did as a video, as one of our starter videos, just to get started. So what you do is, and I'll briefly explain, but the link to the video with more information and a proper full video walkthrough is below. So do click on that and follow that. So, and tomorrow I'm doing a full chicken dinner in here, a full chicken dinner. Not just a chicken or anything like that. So we're doing a full chicken dinner, so you can follow that too. So what I tend to do is I literally split my machine. So the bottom half of my machine, I'll have either a chicken stock or water in the bottom, and then I'll put my meat in. So I normally use frozen meat. So I'll pop that into the bottom. So let's say we're doing chicken breast. You put your chicken breast, normally I do 4 pieces on around 13 minutes. So chicken breast in the bottom, with either chicken stock, liquid of any sort, or a jarred sauce, you know, like anything like that. And then I'll put my layer of foil around my trivet, or 2 layers if your trivet isn't very sturdy. 2 layers of foil around my trivet, just around the outside. Make sure you slat some holes in the bottom. And then pop your trivet in place. And then what I do is I create something called a foil basket. So what I do is I get a piece of foil and I'll put it inside of my inner lid, and it'll sit on top of the trivet, and then I put my potatoes inside of the foil, and then I sort of get the foil. It's hard to explain like this, but if you watch the video you'll see how I did it. You get the foil, scrunch it up so it creates a little handle, and just fold the sides in so it's all nice and neatly tucked in. And you can actually do 1/2 of your trivet potatoes, 1/2 of your trivet vegetables, and then you pop it onto meat for 13 minutes and it cooks absolutely brilliantly. And one of the good things is that when doing that, obviously if you put your veg loose or your potatoes loose on the trivet, even if it is in place, a lot of the time you'll find that your machine will turn your potatoes to mush or your vegetables to mush, because it's it's like in for a lot longer than what it should be. I think vegetables, it's normally about 4 or 5 minutes on steam. But because we're putting it for 30 minutes, because we have meat underneath, you have to incorporate the cooking times for the meat as well. But what we do is we just foil them and they come out brilliantly. So that is my answer to your question, Fiona. So be sure to look at the video below and you can see the entire walkthrough for that. So I'm just going to see if we've got any more questions. Just 1 second. As I say, I've got my MacBook up on the microwave. I don't do anything fancy when I'm doing this. Let's see. Okay. So, a few safety things I am going to say. I think that's about the questions that we've selected. So a few safety things that we're just going to run through. So health and safety tests have, ran through with this PKP, and it's very safe if used properly. So you have to use it in the right way. It's very important that you follow these rules. So I'm just going to read a few things out. It might look like I'm script reading. I actually am. But you know me, I'm real. I'll tell you how it is. So one thing you must never do... I'm just going to turn that off at the wall a minute. Sorry about that. One thing that you must never, ever, ever, ever do is never open the lid or try and attempt to open the lid before the pressure is fully released from your machine, because that will end up in boom, and you don't want that. And I'm not responsible. I take no responsibility for that whatsoever. You have been warned, but I know that most of you are very sensible and you're not going to open your machine should your pressure still be in there. So this pot inside your PKP, sorry, I'll just take mine out a minute. So this pot, never, ever, ever cook on the inside of the machine without this pot being in there. Liquid and electricity do not mix, do they? Now, we all know that because it will literally... If water or any kind of liquid goes inside of the middle of the machine, underneath your inner pot, it will cause quite bad damage, irreparable damage to the elements inside, and your machine will be void from getting a new one, even if you've got your warranty. So that's something that you don't want to happen. What else do we have? So always release the pressure valve carefully using... You can use a wooden spoon, you can use oven mitts. Now we recommend using oven mitts and silicone spoons as well, or your wooden spoons. We've also got, again, in the accessories tab, mitts that you can use, silicone mitts that you can just nudge the thing open with, and it works perfectly. So I'll put the link for the accessories. Everything that we've discussed today will be in the links below. Okay, so another tip that we have is wait 5 minutes or until the valve has completely stopped spitting and steaming after releasing the pressure before attempting to open the lid. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Please make sure that you do that. Do not overfill the maximum line. As you'll notice inside your machine, you'll have a minimum line at the bottom and a max line. Don't overfill that, because that could result in your machine being damaged. It could mean that some liquid comes out here, there and everywhere, and you don't want your machine to be broken, because I literally would be lost without my PKP now. So please remember not to overfill. Just going to be back in a minute. Okay, so another important, this is not a question, but I'm just merely going to speak about this. A lot of people have been saying with their newer models they can't select any functions. There's a reason for that. So PKP looked at the machine and based on reports of users that use different options on the machine, they noticed that the canning function was actually not being used to its full potential, and it was one of the least used options on the machine. Now, with the newer models, you'll notice that it's now got browning instead of canning. The older models, like mine, will still have stewing, and I've got canning on mine. So mine is still there. But there was a bit of a circulation about the canning function was deemed unsafe, and PKP took it off because it was damaged or whatever, it was causing health issues and health and safety problems. But that was not the case, and I cannot stress that enough. It was not the case. So it was merely because the machine was being used, that option on the machine was being used a lot less than all the other functions. So they thought, oh, well, people brown their meat a lot using this machine, why not call it browning? Which makes perfect sense. So with the newer models, unlike my machine, I can use my stew function, open lidded, and brown off for as long as I need to. Now with the newer models, they have a safety feature, which means that you can't operate any function other than browning with your lid off. So to use your other functions, you have to press cancel first if you have been browning, and then put your lid back on, and then your PKP will then be able to use different programs and functions. So I'm going to answer another question now. I've hopefully still got the list of questions up, because I think I've actually took it down. I can't remember who asked me this question, but it was about how to get the 6 litre lid back on. So let me just show you my lid. So my lid has a little hinge here. Now with the 6 litre, the fab thing about this is that when you open the lid, it sits up like that. So you don't have to like keep taking it off and on. Now people want to see how you get this back on. So this little hinge attaches in the back of my machine. Now I've not cleaned my machine properly yet, so I apologise if it's a bit dirty, but I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Hang on. Okay, so let me just turn my machine round to the back. So see this little hinge here? You have a bit of a groove here, like I say, excuse the mess in there. The groove, you drop that into the groove, and I am doing this one-handed, so I'm going to see if I can do it. Drop it into the groove like so, and then you push this round, and then it sits just here on the back, if you see that. So that is your hinge. So when you come to take it off, you merely just slide it round. Oh, bloody hell, sorry, I'm just trying to do this so you can see it with ease. So as you see, it's sitting there now, and then all we do is slide it round, and then it comes away. So that is how you connect your lid to the top. Now one thing we haven't discussed is this little thing here. This is the condensation cup, and mine is actually cracked at the back, so excuse that. I've just cracked it whilst trying to clean it. So the condensation cup, it slides out. You can wash this inside and outside, and then what you do is you just slot it back on until it feels nice and snug on the back, and that then will collect any condensation or residue that comes out of the machine whilst you're cooking. Okay, so another thing, a lot of people have said that they get a lot of hissing from their machine. If your machine is hissing, sometimes that means that your valve isn't set to closed properly, or your valve has been left open. Make sure that you double check your valve, because no steam should be escaping from the pressure valve. If you were to leave the pressure as it is, then your food would more than likely burn, and it would dry out as well. Make sure you turn the valve to the closed position. You may need to jiggle it a little, but it is closed when you hear no hissing or no noise. One thing about the 5 litre valve is we have a different valve on the 6 and the 3 litre to what the 5 litre is. But when you've got the valve on the 5 litre, it feels really, really wobbly. That is completely normal. It's designed as a safety feature to ensure that should the machine need to be opened in any way, then it can be. So don't be alarmed if you've got a really wobbly knob on the top. It's totally fine. I'm just going to have a look, see what else we have on here. Okay. Okay, so I'm just having a look on the Pressure King Pro website as well. The pressure in comparison to the Instant Pot inside of the Pressure King Pro, they state on their website that the Pressure King Pro delivers 7.25 psi on all of its settings. This is equivalent to a medium pressure to an Instant Pot recipe. If a recipe calls for a higher or lower pressure, we recommend increasing or decreasing the cooking time, which we can do quite easy. Now, I know another person asked on how to adapt recipes in the group. Now, I say I can do them, and I can, and I won't lie, I can adapt recipes, and really it's just a matter of a little bit of common sense and experience, because let's say I think I adapted a recipe for somebody the other day for what was it now? I think it was for a curry or something like that. But on there it was an Instant Pot recipe, and with the Instant Pot, obviously you have high heat, low heat, all that sort of stuff. And it's different to how we cook in our machines. Now, with the Instant Pot, it'll say high heat. So for high heat for us, we look at a dish. So let's say we're doing a piece of chicken. So we're doing a breast of chicken. So we've put that in the machine, and then it turns around and it says, right, put it on high heat. So if we're looking at the machine and thinking, there's no high heat on there, what do we do? So what you need to think about is, right, you're cooking meat. So on your meat function, you have a timer, and you have preset programmings as to how your machine should be cooking and what times it should be cooking at. So if I look at a recipe and I see a recipe that says, right, we're going to cook a frozen piece of chicken on high for 15 minutes, I don't know, whatever time they use, I would look at that recipe and then I would say, right, so on my experience, and based on my experience, I normally cook meat on 13 minutes from frozen. So if I'm doing it from fresh, do it about 10 minutes. So I'm going to put my high setting as meat to between 10 and 13 minutes. Let's say we're going to do mince and onions, and it says saute. Now, that's a posh word for stick it on stew or browning. So that's literally what you do. So rather than saute, we're going to put it on browning or stew function with your lid off and a couple of sprays of fry light, with your onions and your garlic and a bit of ginger and a bit of whatever you're cooking with it. So saute is another alternative for brown or stew with your lid off. High heat, think about the dish that you're doing. If you're doing high heat and it says pasta, think you've got a pasta function. Stick it on pasta and put it on for about 6 minutes based on how you've cooked pasta before. It just varies, and that's the way that I sort of adapt recipes and get new recipes up in the group. But if you need any help with putting up any recipes whatsoever, or incorporating them or changing them over to make sure they work in the PKP, give me a shout. I can sort of trick it all over. No, not trick, that's the wrong word. I've gone mind bogged. I can change the recipe so that it is PKP friendly, if we want to call it that. So just drop me a message and I'll be able to help you out with that. So another thing, and now this is a good one. Can I use washing powder detergent to clean my PKP? Okay, so this one has been a very, very big debatable question in our group, to the point where we had to turn off comments because debate was turning more into an argument. Right, personally, I wouldn't use it. You think powder, the chemicals from the powder, and all that sort of stuff, and put that into an appliance that you're going to cook with, and you don't wash that out properly, equals very poorly person. I would never use it. Now, we have a cleaning section that has been updated with new methods as we try them on our YouTube channel, should you wish to have a look. The link will be in the comments below. Make sure you check them out, because these ways that we're putting on here are tried and tested, and you're going to see exactly how we do them, and we're going to smell them. I literally stick my head in a bowl to have a smell once I've done a video, and make sure that it comes out on the right smell, see if it comes out the way people have said it has. I think we've done one so far which was with lemon and boiling water, and that came out fab. But no, please do not use your clothing powder to wash your machine out, no matter how dirty, grimy it is. Please stick to proper instructions. Don't use anything of the sort that is going to make people come to harm, or could people are allergic to soap powder. You wash that out and there's a bit of residue left in there, bang, anaphylactic shock. Anything could happen, and we don't want to be held responsible for that. So we would say no, do not use washing detergents in your PKP. Okay, so if I think my PKP is faulty, what should I do? Okay, so if none of these questions have helped, and we've not answered any of your questions, PKP, you have a number for them, which is 0344 800 0631 for UK customers, and for Irish customers we have 0412 132 998. So that is for Pressure King Pro, and if your product isn't from High Street TV, you need to contact your retailer for either a return or a replacement. You don't want to be contacting High Street TV because they can't do anything to help you. So just, make sure that you go back to the appropriate person. I think that is about it. We've got lots and lots of questions that we've answered. Just checking, see if we've got any more coming. No, there's no more questions as of yet. But those are the questions for today. So this is our frequent common answers and questions. And I hope you enjoyed it. So remember, we have lots and lots and lots of super duper recipes on our channel. We've got, well, I wouldn't say millions, but we've got quite a few recipes on our Facebook group, which is Sammie's Pressure King Recipe Group, and it should appear somewhere down in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and wait for our next video. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the little bell next to the subscribe button, which will notify you every time we upload a video, and you don't want to miss one because, well, the videos are fab, aren't they? Let's say they're fab. But yeah, you've all been great. Thank you so much for watching. Tune into the next video, which is going to be a full chicken dinner. No, it's not chicken, it's going to be turkey. So we're going to do a chicken dinner, a turkey dinner, sorry, I've got chicken on the brain, a turkey dinner in our PKP. That should be up at some point tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. You've been watching Sammie's Pressure King Recipe channel on YouTube. Remember to join us on Facebook. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Anything means forever, ever, or never mind.